Welcome back for the next episode of the 49 Willys pickup project. In this episode, we're going to focus on brake lines. Last time I got the frame all ready to go, so everything's nice and clean, and we can look at putting in some brake lines. As part of that, we're going to rebuild this master cylinder, which I've already cleaned up, but that needs a rebuild kit. I've got brake lines, I've got some 1/4 inch and some 3/16 and all the necessary fasteners. So we should be able to do this job right. Over here I've got some of the old brake lines I pulled out. We can use those as guides. And I have my buddy Guy back today. He's going to help me get all this stuff done. And if we get far enough into this, we're going to also pull off the wheels and the brake drums and have a look at how the brakes look at each wheel to see if we need more parts. So stick around, we're going to get going right now. So Guy inspected the master cylinder and said everything looked okay for the rebuild. So he got started on that. And then we teamed up to get that spring clip in. There we go.
Okay, stick.
Yeah, that end goes in. There, where they got one side. There, we're good.
Hey.
Success.
From,
Okay, with the master cylinder done, we're ready to put it on the frame. So I went back to my parts shelf and grabbed all the stuff that I thought belonged on there, and we brought it over, lined it all up as best I could remember, and it all went back together. These brake lines are made up of a combination of 3/16 and 1/4 inch line. So this first 3/16 line goes directly to the left front wheel. Then we're moving on, and there's a 1/4 inch line that's going to handle the rest of the braking for the other 3 wheels. So that goes up and around the cross member. Then it drops off a little 3/16 to the other right front wheel. And then we continue on to the rears. We needed a nice long straight run to get from the front to the rear axle. So I made up a little jig with a 2x4 and we pulled the coil through it to get a nice straight shot. Workable. We got all those brake lines done and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Now I used this, this is copper nickel line. It won't rust, but it bends really easily. So it went in really nice. It was really easy to form. And it's all tucked in nice and neat where it belongs. I use these nice stainless steel tabs with a rubber insert and stainless steel hardware here. Just only needed a few of these anyway, but that holds it in nice and snug. And we ran it all the way up to the wheel cylinders here. So that's good. I still don't have new rubber lines. We threw the old rubber lines on just to have a place to line it up. But I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm over on the driver's side, and the studs on these, normally you would have right-hand thread on the passenger side and left or reverse thread on the driver's side, and they would be marked with an L or an R. So you should have L's on this side, but you notice on the driver's side, if you can see this, all these studs are marked R. And we come over here to the passenger side, and these are L. So somewhere along the way, somebody did some maintenance on this and swapped the drums between the sides. We managed to get all 4 drums off without too much trouble, and a good chance to take a look at this. So the brake pads look great. I don't think they need to be replaced. The springs, everything else look to be in good condition. I do need to look at these wheel cylinders. You can see the boots are kind of cracked, so they've been there a while. So I'm going to pull that off and get a closer look at those. But otherwise, I think just a little bit of cleanup and these should be okay. All right, let's take a look at these. Those boots are cracked. They're in tough shape. I'd like to rebuild these because a rebuild kit on these cylinders is around, I don't know, 10, 12 bucks. But each of these cylinders new is about 35, 36 bucks. So if they're in okay shape to be rebuilt, I can save a few bucks doing that. I have all 4 of these off now, and I took the innards out and ran a hone through there, and they all look like they're going to work out. So I can go ahead and order up those rebuild kits. The only one I'm kind of concerned about is this one right here. It's got part of the lip here is broke away, but the plunger doesn't come out that far, and it's good inside there, so I'm going to take a chance on this one. And if it ends up leaking, then I can buy a new one for that. I decided to go ahead and pull the backing plates off on all corners so I could clean them up properly. So the rears were no problem. The fronts, they came off, but I found some weirdness. This is the passenger side, and just like on the back, it uses a 9/16 bolt in here. The only oddball here is the left front. This one uses 3/4 inch. So that's different. And the other thing I had seen earlier too, and I just wasn't sure about, that there's a whole bunch of booger welds in here. And none of those are holding right now. If I take these bolts out, I can pull that assembly apart. But somewhere along the way, somebody did a repair on this. So I'll have to take a closer look and see what's going on there. It's actually been a couple weeks since we finished these brake lines, and I've been in the process of ordering parts for the brakes and all the wheel setup here. And I've got most of my parts in. I'm still waiting on a few, but we're going to put what we can put together. So this is 8 foot of goodness here. I've got most of the brake parts I need. I got a little problem with a brake drum. That's a brand new brake drum. I had to order. The rest of these were good. So we'll talk about that in a second. I've got rebuild kits for the master cylinder, not master, for the wheel cylinders. I've got emergency brake lines. I'm still waiting on one cable. They only had one in stock and I don't even know when the next one's coming. So I'm still waiting on that, and a couple other things. Let's see, these are the rear brakes, and I'm missing the little spreader bar that goes here. I thought I might have lost them, but I went back and took some pictures. They were just missing, so I had to order those. I'm still waiting for those to come in. But we'll get what we can get together here and then call this one a wrap. This is the new drum that I ordered. I have it in. I just need to move the hub from this drum over to this one. I know my hub is good. Here's what happened. I think we actually did this. We went to press a bad stud out and didn't realize that these are a little different than the normal modern drums that you see, in that the studs, when they get pressed into these, they press them in from behind, just like a regular drum. But then it's called a swedged, a swedging, I guess, on the stud. But they put a tool over the top of this side and they press it, and it kind of mushrooms out the knurling, so it kind of holds it together from both sides. We didn't know that, so we tried pressing this out. It didn't want to move. I beat on it with a hammer, and only then did a little bit of research and found out that you first have to remove this top part. So I had to take it to a machine shop where they had a special drill bit for this, and they just took a few thou off and then were able to push it out. I took all these drums back then to a machine shop near my house, or just to an auto shop. Here's a good one. And they were able to turn them. They turned out really nice, but he told me this one, the drum was bent. He said the hub is still good, but the drum is bent. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's as a result of us pounding on this thing, we bent that. So this one's no good. That's why I had to order this one. So just word to the wise, if you're working on a Willys or any older vehicle, because I think they even did this on Model A's, don't just try to press a bad stud out. You got to, first of all, get that swedge out. Now we're on to the wheel cylinders. So Guy went through and rebuilt the rest of those, got them all put back together, and we assembled what we could back onto the hub. So we got the backing plate back on and the brake drums, and we don't have everything we need, but this is about as far as we can get with the parts we have right now. All right, that's as far as we're going right now. We got all the brake hoses on now. We got the wheels back together. The drums are just on temporarily. I'm still waiting on a few parts before I can put those on permanently. But we got the brakes bled. Everything's working good. So that's going to be it for this episode. If you want to follow along with progress, go ahead and subscribe. And thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.